In the previous 4 classes on linear vector space, we have been discussing vectors. Now let us consider this mathematical quantity called operators. So how do we start speaking about operators? We know that the state of this we have concluded from the discussion on Stern-Gerlach, sequential Stern-Gerlach experiments, that a quantum state, the state of a system, is represented by a vector in a complex vector space. Okay, so this we know. A state of a system is represented by an abstract vector in a complex vector space. And from the discussion on Stern-Gerlach experiments, we know that, for example, remember the sequential Stern-Gerlach experiments. See, this is the initial state of a beam of particles with random spin orientations. Now suppose we measure the z component of the spin. Okay. Z component of the spin. Then what you get is nearly half the particles are in z plus state and the other half particles are in z minus state. Okay. So what is important here is the act of measurement of the z component of the spin changes the initial state to either of these two states. Okay, if you consider one particle at a time passing through the Stern-Gerlach apparatus, it is deflected either upward or downward. Okay, the upward deflection means its state is ket z plus, which means sz is equal to plus h cross by 2. If it is deflected downward, it means its state is ket sigma z minus, which means its z component of spin is minus h cross by 2. Okay, so it is either deflected up or deflected down. Each particle is like that. So the state of the system changes by the act of measurement of this physical quantity. Again, if you consider another state, suppose this is blocked here, and taking this z plus, nearly half the beam are in z plus state with sz equal to plus h cross by 2. Now suppose we measure x component of the spin. Then what you see is that out of these particles, okay, again nearly 50% will be in x plus state with sx equal to plus h cross by 2. The other half will be in x minus state with sx equal to minus h cross by 2. So again we see that the act of measurement of a physical quantity, this time x component of the spin, changes the state from ket z plus to either x plus state or ket x minus state. So the point is that the act of measurement of a physical quantity changes the state of a system. Okay. Now here we see that state of a system is represented by an abstract vector in a complex vector space. Okay. It means that a physical quantity should be represented by something that changes. If you start from here, okay, how do we represent a physical quantity mathematically? Using which mathematical object? So our mathematical object should be able to change the vector in the vector space, because this we know that the measurement of the physical quantity changes the state of the system. State is represented by a vector, which means that the physical quantity should be represented by something that changes the vector. Okay, so if there is a vector in an abstract space, okay, consider a vector like this, this is our state, then our physical quantity, let's say this one, should be something that changes the state. Okay, so a mathematical object that changes the state of a vector, changes a vector, is an operator. Okay, so that means the physical quantity should be represented by, okay, an operator. In quantum systems, okay, the special type of operator that we use is called a Hermitian operator. We will define a Hermitian operator a little later. So let us try and understand that the physical quantity is represented by a Hermitian operator. Okay, the motivation is this: we need a mathematical object that changes the state. Okay, the measurement of a physical quantity changes the state. Okay, and the state is represented by a vector. So naturally, the physical quantity should be represented by something that changes the state. And from the mathematics of vector space, we know that something that changes a vector is an operator that is acting on this vector space. So physical quantity is represented by a Hermitian operator that acts on the vector space of the abstract vector space of the system. Okay, the Hermitian operator that acts on the vector space of the system. If ket alpha represents a vector in an abstract vector space, then the operator, the physical quantity is represented, let's say the physical quantity is represented by some operator A. Then this operator A acts on the ket vector from the left. Okay, the operator A, which represents a physical quantity, acts on ket vector alpha, which represents a state of the system, from the left. Mathematically, the operation is from the left to the ket vector. Okay. Now we will see the properties of operator, its algebra in detail. This was the first sequential Stern-Gerlach experiment that we considered. From this we can deduce something about an important property of operators. Here we see that in this state, in the initial state psi, ket psi n, when we try to measure the z component of the spin, state changes to half the particles in ket z plus state and half in ket z minus state. So we can say that in general, if there is an operator A acting on a state alpha, this state changes to a new state beta. Here instead of A we have Sz. Instead of ket alpha we have ket psi n. Instead of ket beta we have ket z plus and ket z minus, z plus or z minus. So in general, when an operator, when you measure a physical quantity in a state, the state of the system changes. In general, mathematically we can say in general, when an operator acts on a ket, it changes to another ket. Ket alpha changes to ket beta. But look at here. When you take this ket z plus as the input to the next Stern-Gerlach apparatus, which again measures the z component of the spin. Okay, suppose there are some 2000 particles here, then nearly 1000 particles will be having ket z plus and nearly will be in the state ket z plus. Nearly 1000 particles will be in the state ket z minus. This beam is blocked and this nearly 1000 particles are fed into a Stern-Gerlach apparatus, which again measures spin in the z direction. Then what you see is that all these 1000 particles remain in the same state with Sz equal to plus h cos by 2. Okay, so this is something special. Measurement of z component of the spin does not change the state of the system. Okay, so here the measurement of the z component of the spin changes the state of the system. Okay, which can be generally written like this. But here, measurement of the z component of the spin does not change the state of the system. It means that this state, ket z plus, is a special state, a characteristic state for this physical quantity, Sz. Okay, and this characteristic state is called eigen state or eigen ket. So we can say that if an operator A, okay, this type of physical quantity is represented by an operator, it acts on this special ket, let us say ket A, then what you get is the same ket multiplied by a constant. Okay, remember that earlier in the discussion on vectors we have said that a vector multiplied by a constant represents see, you have a vector ket alpha. if you have another vector c times ket alpha, it represents the same physical state. Both ket alpha and some constant times ket alpha represent the same physical state. So ket A as well as some constant lambda times this is a scalar. It can be a complex scalar in general. So this scalar times ket A represent the same physical state. Okay. So the point is that in this type of a vector, special vector, when an operator acts on this type of a vector, you get the same vector. Okay, that means the state of the system does not change like this, like here. When you measure the z component of the spin in a beam of particles which are already in ket z plus state, that means sz equal to plus h cross by 2, all these 1000 particles remain in the same state. State does not change by the act of measurement of the physical quantity. So this state is a special state or characteristic state of this physical quantity which we call eigenstate. Ket z plus, similarly ket z minus also is an eigenstate of the physical quantity Sz. Or we can say this ket A is an eigenket of the operator A. So this is called an eigenket. Okay, and this scalar lambda is called eigenvalue. Eigenket means characteristic ket or characteristic state vector. Eigenvalue means characteristic value. Okay, here in this particular experiment, when you measure this ket z plus is the eigenstate of the physical quantity Sz with the eigenvalue Sz equal to plus h cross by 2. Okay, so for an operator, when in general when it acts on a state, the state will change. In the special case, when it acts on some special state, the state does not change. Okay, you get the same ket multiplied by some constant, and this multiplication by some constant does not change the state of the system. The state is the same. This ket A and lambda times ket A are the same state. So the state does not change. Such special states are called eigenstates or eigenkets, and this scalar is called eigenvalue. Consider a series of eigenvalues of the operator A. Let us say A prime, A double prime, etc. Suppose the corresponding eigenkets we can label as the eigenket corresponding to the eigenvalue A you can call ket A. Eigenket corresponding to the eigenvalue A prime can be called ket A prime. Similarly, for the eigenvalue A double prime can be called ket A double prime, etc. So these eigenvalues equations you can write as operator A acting on the eigenket ket A gives the eigenvalue A times the eigenket ket A. Okay. Similarly, A acting on ket A prime. Here, these eigenkets are labeled after the eigenvalue. Okay. Similarly, etc. If we come back to our sequential Stern-Gerlach experiment, these eigenkets, ket z plus, you can label it in many different ways. So the different ways of labeling these eigenkets are, one method is you can write it like this, ket Sz plus, which means the physical quantity being measured is Sz, okay, and the eigenvalue is plus h cross by 2. Or you can write simply plus h cross by 2. Eigenvalue is plus h cross by 2, so eigenket is ket plus h cross by 2, or simply ket plus, or like this. That means it corresponds to upspin. This is also called upspin state. Sz equal to minus h cross by 2 state is called a downspin state. So these are all the same representation. These are all different ways of labeling the same state. And we have also used one symbol ket z plus. Okay. So these are different ways of labeling the same eigenket. Okay, so we can use this or this, or alternatively in different books you can see different ways of representing that. So the point is that eigenkets are generally labeled after the eigenvalue. Here the eigenvalue equation we can write like this. The operator is Sz, acting on the state Sz, plus gives plus h cross by 2 Sh plus, or Sh acting on the state Sh minus gives minus h cross by 2 Sh minus. Okay, so this ket Sh plus is labeled after plus h cross by 2. We can also, instead of this, we can also use this or this or this or this. Any labeling can be used as long as we can distinguish it exactly. And this state, this ket is labeled after this eigenvalue minus h cross by 2. Here also we can use ket minus h cross by 2 or ket plus h cross by 2. That is also possible. So this is some generic eigenvalue equations, and this is a special case of eigenvalue equation in the context of Stern-Gerlach experiment. Regarding eigenkets, this idea is very important. Eigenkets of a Hermitian operator form a complete set. Eigenkets of a Hermitian, remember, for a quantum system, every physical quantity is represented by a Hermitian operator. So eigenkets of a Hermitian operator, they are special in the sense that they form a complete set. What is a complete set? Suppose in an n-dimensional vector space, a complete set of eigenkets means that the number of eigenkets in the set is equal to the dimension of the vector space, that is n. If the vector space is n-dimensional, then a complete set of eigenkets in the vector space should contain n linearly independent eigenkets. See, only all the distinct eigenkets must be linearly independent, because linearly dependent, if two kets are linearly dependent, then they represent the same state. They are not different. Okay, they are considered as the same eigenket. So when we say that you have a set of eigenkets, it's understood that these eigenkets are linearly independent. Okay, so if you have a set of linearly independent eigenkets which is a complete set, it means that the number of eigenkets in this set is equal to the dimension of the vector space. Then it means that if you have a complete set, then these eigenkets can act as the base vectors or basis vectors of the vector space. So if you have a complete set of vectors, then naturally they can act as the base, these vectors can act as the base vectors or basis vectors of the vector space, which means that any general vector, let us say ket V, okay, a general vector in the vector space can be expressed as a linear combination of these eigenkets. Okay, something like C1 ket 1 plus C2 ket 2 plus C3 ket 3 plus etc. Cn ket n. Or we can write it like summation over Ca ket A from 1 to n. Where these coefficients C1, C2, C3, etc., Cn are all in general complex coefficients. So if these eigenkets, this ket A or ket 1, ket 2, ket 3, etc., are the eigenkets of a Hermitian operator, they form a complete set. That means they can act as the base vectors of the vector space, which means that any general vector in the vector space can be expressed as a linear combination of these eigenkets, where the coefficients are in general complex. Now let us consider a series of results regarding the algebra of operators. One is if an operator x act on ket alpha, well, ket alpha is an, let us say ket alpha is an arbitrary ket in a vector space, then if operator x acting on ket alpha is same as operator y acting on ket alpha. Okay, x acting on ket alpha is equal to y acting on ket alpha, where x and y are two operators and alpha is an arbitrary ket in the vector space. That means it can be any ket in the vector space. Then this implies that x is equal to y. The two operators are identical. So two operators are considered to be identical only if they satisfy this type of a relation. Here the important point is that this such a x ket is equal to y times the same ket. This can be true for a special ket, let's say ket 1, but it may not be true for ket 2. Okay, so this type of a relation should be satisfied, or this type of a relation should not be valid for a single ket, a single special ket, but not for all the other kets. Not like that. This type of a relation should be valid for any, if you pick any arbitrary eigenket from the vector space, this relation should be valid. Then we can say that x is equal to y. Okay, that in other words we can say that this type of relation is true for all eigenkets in the vector space. Then we can say that the two operators are identical. Another property is an operator x acting on an arbitrary ket is equal to, let us say, 0. Okay, then it means that the operator is a null operator. Okay, so an operator acting on an arbitrary ket or any eigenket, every eigenket in the vector space is equal to 0, then that operator itself is 0. A third property, two operators if you add, that process is commutative, x plus y is equal to y plus x, and x plus y plus z is equal to x plus y plus z. Addition of operators is associative. Then majority of operators that we use in quantum mechanics are linear operators. A notable exception is a time reversal operator, which we will discuss later. So the majority of operators are linear operators. So what is the definition of a linear operator? Okay, linear operator means if an operator acts on a linear combination of two eigenkets like C alpha ket alpha plus C beta ket beta. The C alpha and C beta are two complex coefficients, and ket alpha and ket beta are two kets. Okay, and this X operator is acting on a linear combination of two kets. Then this is equal to the same linear combination of the operator of the kets obtained by acting the operator on each ket. So we can say C alpha times X acting on alpha plus C beta times X acting on ket beta. Okay, so it's the same linear combination of the kets obtained by the operator acting on the old kets. Okay, x times ket alpha is another ket in general, and x times ket beta is maybe ket alpha prime, and x times ket beta is, let us say, ket beta prime, another ket. So it's the same linear combination of the new kets obtained by the operator acting on the old kets. So this type of a property is called a linearity property, or an operator satisfying this type of a property is called a linear operator. So majority of operators that we are going to encounter are linear operators. Okay, then let's continue. Okay, we have said that when X is acting on a ket alpha, we can write it like X alpha. That is, on a ket, operator acts from the left. Now, suppose we have a bra vector beta and an operator is acting on it, then the operator acts on the bra vector from the right. You can write it like this: bra vector beta x. Okay, so on a ket vector, the operator acts from the left. On a bra vector, the operator acts from the right. And you can also say, consider this x acting on alpha. It's a dual correspondence, or we can say it's a adjoint operation. Is this ket alpha becomes bra vector alpha, and the operator x becomes x dagger. Okay, and this dagger means transpose plus complex conjugate. Okay, you might have studied about this. This is called adjoint of x. Okay, Hermitian adjoint or simply adjoint. X dagger is called Hermitian adjoint of x, or simply adjoint of x. You might have studied this in matrices. Okay, if you take the adjoint of a square matrix, it means transpose and complex conjugate. Yeah, so the adjoint operation for this is this. That means the ket vector becomes bra vector and the operator becomes the adjoint of x. That means x dagger. So again, this x acting on the ket vector from the left to right, and this x dagger acting on the bra vector from right to left. Okay. This is the dual correspondence between the two. Then another property is, in general, we can say xy is not equal to yx. That means if two operators are acting sequentially, one after the other, we know that this xy, if you act on a ket, then y it is acting from left to right, so y will act on the ket first, then x is acting on y times y, the new ket. Okay, so y first, then x. Yx means x is first acting on the ket, we get a new ket, and y is acting on the new ket. So here the order of operation is reversed. So in general, this sequential operations are not commutative. Okay, when you change the order of the operators, you don't get the same final states. We have seen this in the case of Stern-Gerlach, sequential Stern-Gerlach experiments. We tried measuring from the same initial state, let us say prepared in the Z plus state, ket Z plus state with Sz equal to plus H cross by 2. We measured, we can measure Sz first and then Sx. We can measure Sx first and then measure Sz. We get two different final states. So these Sx and Sz, they are in general Sx into Sz is not equal to, not in general, we can say always Sz into Sx is not equal to Sx into Sz. The order, they are not commutative. So this is a general situation. In general, two operators are, so there are operators which are commutative, but in general they are non-commutative. Operators obey non-commutative algebra. And another property okay, the sequential operations is associative. Okay, then consider this x, y acting on a ket alpha. Then it means, this I have stated earlier, first y acting on ket alpha, after that x acting on the new ket. Y acting on ket alpha, the state may be different, it becomes ket beta maybe, and x is acting on the new ket. Okay, Yeah. What about this is when two sequential operations happen on the ket vector. What about bra vector? Suppose we have a bra vector beta and x, y are like this. So which means first x will act, see these operators are acting from right to left. So the leftmost operator will first act on the bra vector, okay, and then the next operator y will act on that. So when the two operators together act on, or sequentially they act on a ket vector, the rightmost operator will first act on the ket vector and then the next one, like this. But on the bra vector side, the leftmost, because it is from left to right, sorry, from right to left. So the leftmost operator will first act on the bra vector and then the next one, like that. Let's consider one more property of operators, number 10. Consider this quantity, bra vector beta, an operator x and a ket vector alpha. Okay, what type of a quantity is this? We can look at it in two ways. This operator x can act on either this ket vector or this bra vector. Okay, so let us rewrite it like this. Bra vector beta, operator x acting on ket alpha, so which I can write as x, ket vector x alpha. I am taking this x inside here, let us say. Now here this is a bra vector and this is a ket vector. Operator x acting on ket alpha will become another ket vector, maybe ket gamma. Anyway, this is a ket vector and this is a bra vector. A bra vector and a ket vector acting like this is an inner product between bra vector and ket vector. So this is an inner product and the result is a complex number. Okay. Or you can look at it in another way. This ket beta, this x can act on this from right to left. So we can write it like this, beta x alpha. Okay, we can interpret it like that. Okay, then if you interpret it like this, then this is a bra vector and this is a ket vector. Again, what you get is a complex number. Okay, so the question is maybe we can, you should not say equal. Let us say this is one way of interpreting and this is another way of interpreting. That means the same quantity, we can either think that this x is acting on ket alpha and look at it like this, or we can say that this x, this operator is acting on the bra vector beta and look at it like this. That means my point is, why I am putting this question mark here is, there are two ways of interpreting the same quantity. Okay, either this or this. Both cannot be equal always. Actually, both can be equal in some cases, but we will look at it later. But in general, for an operator x, this and this cannot be simultaneously same always, in general. So either this is true or this is true, but in either case the result is a complex number. So the point is that this quantity is a complex number. This is the inner product between a bra vector and a ket vector. So the bra vector can be like this and the ket vector can be like this. That's one possibility. Or the bra vector can be like this and the ket vector can be like this. But in either case, either this or this, this quantity is a complex number. We will see this type of quantities a lot in many calculations. So understand that when you encounter a quantity like this, a bra vector, a ket vector, and in between an operator, then this is a complex number in general. Consider this result. X and y are two operators, then xy whole dagger, this dagger is Hermitian adjoint, this is equal to y dagger x dagger. Now let us verify this result. Xy dagger equal to y dagger x dagger. That means the order will be reversed when you take the complex conjugate, the adjoint, Hermitian adjoint of, or transpose and complex conjugate of product of two operators. Okay, in order to verify that, let us say consider xy acting on ket alpha. Xy acting on ket alpha. Let us consider x is an operator, y is an operator, so xy is an operator. Consider xy as a single operator. Then what is the dual correspondence of this relation? In other words, what is the adjoint of this relation? The adjoint is ket alpha will become bra vector alpha, and this operator you have to take the Hermitian adjoint, that is xy. Consider xy as a single operator, so xy dagger. Let's call it equation 1. This is not actually equation, this is a dual correspondence relation. Okay, we get this. Now again come here, x, y alpha. Now this we can act as, first y is acting on alpha and then x is acting on ket alpha. So this I can write as x, y alpha, which means operator y is acting on ket alpha and we get a new ket, x is acting on this new ket. Okay. Let us take the dual correspondence of this relation. So maybe I can write this as x alpha prime, ket alpha prime, but ket alpha prime is y alpha. Let us take the dual correspondence of this relation. What is the dual correspondence? Ket alpha prime becomes bra vector alpha prime, x becomes x dagger. But what is this bra vector alpha prime? Bra vector alpha prime is what? Alpha prime is nothing but y acting on alpha. So this is bra vector alpha prime is this, the dual correspondence of this one, right? So what you have is bra vector alpha becomes, sorry, ket alpha becomes bra vector alpha and y becomes y dagger. This is alpha prime. Okay, and then there is x dagger here. Let's call it equation 2. So we start from here, the same initial stage, xy acting on alpha. First we took the dual correspondence directly by treating xy as a single operator, we get this. Okay. Then the next stage we consider the operation of x and y sequentially. Y is acting on alpha, we get an alpha prime. Then we take dual correspondence, then we get like this. Now this bra vector alpha prime is actually the dual correspondence of this one. So what you get is bra vector alpha and the y becomes y dagger. So we get this. Now you compare 1 and 2. Left hand side is the same. So right hand side must be the same. Here the right hand side is xy dagger acting on bra vector alpha. Here what you get, this quantity is acting on bra vector alpha. So xy dagger must be equal to y dagger x dagger. So we get from 1 and 2, xy whole dagger must be equal to y dagger x dagger. Hence the proof. Okay, this is actually a verification of this result. Consider this idea, outer product. Consider a quantity like this, ket beta bra vector alpha. Ket vector beta bra vector alpha. Now this quantity is an outer product between ket beta, ket vector beta and bra vector alpha. So this is an outer product. Outer product between ket beta and bra vector alpha, and this quantity is an operator. How do we conclude that this quantity is an operator? Consider its action on a ket. Okay, so consider this ket beta bra vector alpha acting on a ket gamma. Okay, so this is a ket and this is unknown. We don't know what it is. But what is the result? This is equal to, so what is this? This we can, if you remove this bracket, what is it? This is ket beta, you have bra vector alpha here, you have a ket vector gamma here. So this and this will undergo inner product. So what you get is bra vector alpha, ket vector gamma. There is an inner product here. Look at here, this is a ket. What is this? It's the inner product between bra vector alpha and ket gamma. This inner product is a complex number, a complex scalar in general. So on the right side, what you have? A ket multiplied by a complex scalar. This being a scalar, you can write it here or here. Okay, it is simply like a scalar multiple of a ket. Now we know that a scalar multiplied by a ket multiplied by a scalar is again a ket vector. Okay, so the whole thing is a ket vector. A ket multiplied by a complex scalar is again a ket. So look at left hand side, something acting on ket gamma. Okay, you get a ket. What is this actually? This is something like some complex scalar C times ket beta. Okay, where C is this complex scalar. So what you get is something acting on ket gamma. You get this is a ket. You get a new ket. C times ket beta is actually something like ket beta. Because C times ket beta and ket beta represent the same physical state. So something is acting on one ket and we get another ket. Naturally, what is this something? This must be an operator. An operator is the mathematical object that changes one vector to another vector. So this vector ket gamma changes to another vector C times ket beta. This is possible by the action of only an operator. So this quantity, this type of an outer product is actually an operator. What is the role of this operator when you look at it? When this operator acts on ket gamma, what you get is ket beta. Okay, so what this operator does is it rotates. Okay, it rotates ket gamma to ket beta. So it rotates one vector along the direction of another vector. In this particular example, it rotates ket gamma along the direction of ket beta. Okay, so it's something like a rotation in a n-dimensional space. This type of an operator, this type of an outer product. We will come back to this type of operator a little later. Okay, so for the time being, let us understand that this is an operator. Whereas what is the inner product? If it is something like this, bra vector beta ket alpha, then it's an inner product. It's a complex scalar. Whereas this is ket beta bra vector alpha, it's an operator. This is called outer product and it's an operator. Earlier we have said that every physical quantity is represented by a Hermitian operator acting on the vector space of the system. Now let us properly define what is a Hermitian operator. There are two ways of defining Hermitian operator. See, these are complementary, not independent of each other. One way is to say this. X is a Hermitian operator if x dagger is equal to x. Okay, this dagger is called Hermitian adjoint. If Hermitian adjoint of an operator is equal to the operator itself, then x is called a Hermitian operator. That is one definition. A second definition is in terms of the action of this Hermitian operator on vectors. Okay, consider this particular inner product beta x alpha. We have considered it a little earlier. We know that this is a complex scalar or a complex number. Okay, because it's an inner product. Now suppose x is a Hermitian operator, then how does we can modify this? We can rewrite this. See, this we can write as beta x alpha. Okay. See, x is acting on the right, from left to right on the ket. So this is x alpha. Now we can start from the left side. This time we can demand that x is acting on the bra vector beta. Okay. Now if x is acting on the bra vector beta, then x will become x dagger. Okay. When it is acting on the bra vector beta, then that means we have to take the Hermitian adjoint. So by default, x is acting on the ket vector from left to right. If you consider it acting on the bra vector from right to left, then we have to take the dagger. So it is beta x dagger alpha. But from the definition of Hermitian operator, x dagger equal to x. So this x dagger is same as x. So this is equal to beta x alpha. Let's call it equation 1. This is equation 2. So one definition of Hermitian operator is, see here equation 1 and equation 2, left hand side is the same, so right side must be the same. That means beta x alpha is equal to beta x alpha. What does it mean? See, the scalar product between two vectors or inner product between two vectors is the same whether the Hermitian operator acts on the ket side or the bra vector side. Okay, we have this inner product beta x alpha. Whether if x is acting on ket alpha, then the inner product will be like this. If x is acting on bra vector beta, then the inner product will be like this. Actually it is like this, but because x dagger equal to x, it will be like this. So if you combine them, look at them together, whether this see here beta x alpha, whether this x is acting on ket or it is acting on the bra vector, the result is the same. Then such an operator is called a Hermitian operator. So this can be considered as the definition. This can also be considered as an alternate way of defining it. And this result is often written in this way. Actually this quantity beta x alpha we can rewrite as alpha x beta star. We can just interchange the order of the bra vector and ket vector. This is bra vector, it becomes ket vector. This is ket vector, it becomes bra vector. We have to change the order and then there is a complex conjugate. Okay, this is the first axiom of inner product. When you change the order of vectors in the inner product, there will be a complex conjugate. Okay. So this quantity I can write as alpha x beta star. I can keep this operator x in the middle. Okay. Then our result is we started with here, that is beta x alpha is equal to alpha x beta star. Okay. So either this or this. Either this or this can be considered as the definition of Hermitian operator. Okay. So in an inner product, it's irrelevant whether Hermitian operator acts on the ket side or the bra vector side, or more formally we can write it like this: beta x alpha is equal to alpha x beta star. So either this or this can be considered as the definition of Hermitian operator, or this can be considered as the definition of Hermitian operator. We will look at more properties of Hermitian operator in the next class. So in this class, what we have done is we have introduced the operator. We have seen what is the motivation for representing a physical quantity by an operator. Okay, that we have discussed, and then we considered different. Then we considered as far as an operator is concerned, what is a general ket? If something is a general ket, when the operator acts on this ket, it will change to another ket. A acting on ket alpha is equal to ket beta, something like that. But this an illustration we have seen in Stern-Gerlach apparatus, Stern-Gerlach measurement. But again, there are other types of states for which an operator acting on the ket gives some constant times the ket. Okay, since constant times ket is the same state, this means that this type of situation comes when you measure a physical quantity in a state and the state does not change. Okay, so such states are special states or characteristic states, and they are called eigenkets. Eigenstates or eigenkets. Eigenstate is a German word for characteristic state. And that vector is called eigenket of this operator, and the scalar which multiplies the eigenket, that is called eigenvalue. Okay. Then we also discussed that eigenkets can be labeled after eigenvalues. Examples we can get from sequential Stern-Gerlach experiments. And then we considered different we also considered the result that eigenkets of a Hermitian operator form a complete set. That means they can act as the base vectors of a vector space, or a general ket can be expressed as a linear combination of these base eigenkets. Okay. Then we considered different algebra, a lot of results regarding operators, the algebra of operators we can say. And finally, we have defined Hermitian operator. Then we have also considered some identity like xy whole dagger is equal to y dagger, x dagger. Okay, so these are some basic results that we have gathered in the case for operators. Okay, so in the next class we will continue with the Hermitian operator, and we will discuss different properties of eigenkets and eigenvalues of Hermitian operator.